Hello students, how are you? I welcome you here with this new video on poem Travel Plans written by Bobby Katz. Let's discuss the topic first. The name of the poem is Travel Plans. And what is travel? Travel means when you go somewhere and or you go for a journey. And when you make a plan for going somewhere, that is called travel plans. And do you know what is the meaning of poet? Poet means one who writes the poem. So this poem has been written by Bobby Katz. Students, when you go to travel, you make different plans before that. I'm sure that when you will have your winter holidays or your summer holidays, you will make plans that okay, I will go to that place and I will buy that thing. I will go to see that zoo or that building, right? But do you want to know the funniest travel plan made by this poet? Okay, let's start the poem. This is very interesting poem called Travel Plans. So let's see what the poet is asking in the first stanza. If you could go anywhere, where would you go? Deep in the jungle, deep in the snow, deep in the ocean to talk to a fish. If you could go anywhere that you could wish. So the poet is saying that if you could go anywhere, where would you go? Would you go deep in the jungle or would you go to a place where you will find snow? Deep in the ocean to talk to a fish, or you would go into a ocean to talk to a fish. So if you will have a wish to go somewhere, where would you go? Then the poet is answering also in next stanza. If I could go anywhere, here's what I would do. I would pop in the pouch of a kind kangaroo. I would travel around for as long as I please. And I would learn to say thank you in kangaroos. Now the poet says that if I could go anywhere, so I would just pop in the pouch of a kind kangaroo. Students, have you seen a kangaroo? An animal that is found in Australia. So you could see in the picture also, these kangaroos have a pouch, a pocket in their body where they keep their little ones, their babies. So the poet says that I would be, inside the pouch of that kangaroo and I would just, travel around as long as I want into a kangaroo's pouch. And after that, I would learn how to say thank you to that kangaroo in kangaroos because kangaroos would not understand human language. I would go through the hole of a needle like thread. I would spin like a top on the point of my head. I would skate on an ice cube. I would swim in a glass. I would ride on a grasshopper if one should pass. Now, because poet is a little boy, the poet says, you know, I would just pass through a needle like thread. Students, have you seen your mothers? They do needlework at home, and for that, they have to use a thread which they pass through the needle. And in that needle, there is a very small hole. So, little boy says that I would just pass through that needle like a thread and I would, spin like a top on the point of my head. I would just, make circles on my head. And I would take an ice cube and I would use that as a skate. And I would swim in the glass. How this is possible? The poet is imagining that I would be so small that I would be able to do all these things. And the next thing is very interesting. He says that I would write a grasshopper. Have you seen a grasshopper? How small is it? So he's just imagining that I would just use this grasshopper as a ride and I would just travel and travel. Wow, what an imagination. Okay, the next. And when I got tired of being so small, because earlier the poet was thinking that he was so small, that's why he would be able to do all these things. But now he's saying that now because I would be tired of being so small. So what I would do, I would do, I would abracadabra myself to be all. So abracadabra is, you know, a, a kind of spell which, wizards or magician they use. So he would do abracadabra. He will do magic and he would become very tall. I would step over oceans. So he would be so tall that he would walk over the oceans. I would step over seas and I would step over the seas also, and I would cause a few shipwrecks if I had to sneeze. And because I would be so big now, so if I would sneeze, if I would have cold sometimes or I would sneeze, I would cause a few wrecks. So the sheep which would be on the into the sea traveling here and there, those will all sink because of the sneeze. That is called shipwreck. I would pat a giraffe on the top of his head because now I would be so tall. So I would pat. Pat means to touch someone gently with the flat hand, as you could see in the picture also. So I would pat a giraffe. This animal is giraffe on the top of his head. I would find out for sure if the North Pole was red. And because I would be so big, so I would be able to see North Pole and South Pole of the earth. And I would see if the North Pole was red in color or what color the North Pole is actually. And when I had seen all that I want to see, I would become small again. I would take myself again. So, the poet says, after doing all these imaginations, after petting a giraffe, after seeing whether the North Pole was red or not, now I have seen everything. So, what I would do, I would become myself again. I would turn myself again into me, the small one. So, these are the plannings of Bobby Cats. So, how did you find the imagination of the poet? Do you ever plan that you would do such things? Just read the poem and understand it. Thank you very much.